If you're into potions, magic items, or just making things go boom, boy do we have an update for you. Hey gamers, welcome back to Fits the Game, your source for news, reviews, and how-tos for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. If all those things sound good to you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. If you haven't figured it out already, today we're talking about the Artificer, a new class released via the Dungeons & Dragons Unearthed Arcana playtest material. Well, the Artificer isn't exactly new to Dungeons & Dragons. It was originally in 3rd edition in the Eberron setting, and then they released an Unearthed Arcana version of the Artificer back in 2017, but the feedback they got from that release was basically said that the class felt too generic and there wasn't enough of the original Eberron feel to the Artificer. So what Wizards of the Coast did is they took that feedback and they morphed the class into more Eberron based, but made it made it setting neutral enough so that it would fit in any world and not have to be tied directly to Eberron. So in Eberron, arcane magic has been harnessed as a form of science and kind of deployed throughout the world. So think of it as a steampunk scientist, but instead of harnessing steam to make contraptions, they harness magical power and infuse items and contraptions that they make with that magical power. The Artificer is being touted as the MacGyver class for 5th edition, being the most versatile class that Wizards of the Coast has put out so far. Starting at 3rd level, you can go more of a specialty either towards a support class or towards more of a damage dealing class. At its core, the Artificer is a magical tinkerer, and like any good tinkerer, they need tools to work their magic, specifically using thieves' tools or any sort of artisan tools in order to infuse magic into mundane items that they create. So to begin, the Artificer uses its tools as its spellcasting focus, but once it's infused magic into an item, it can then use that item as its new spellcasting focus. So if you created a magical weapon, that weapon can be a spellcasting focus for an Artificer. Or if you created magic boots, those boots could be a spellcasting focus for the Artificer. That no longer has to rely on the original tools. When you reach 3rd level as an Artificer, you'll have your choice of 2 different paths to head down. You can either go as an alchemist and focus on making potions to both do healing or damage, or as a artillerist and focus on making things go boom or pew pew pew. Alchemists will also be able to create alchemical homunculusks that will be able to aid in your day-to-day activities or actually help in battle if you give up your bonus action to allow it to have an action. As an artillerist, you'll be able to create 3 different types of magical turrets to help on the battlefield. A flamethrower turret that will allow you to do close range damage, a force ballista that will allow you to do long range damage, and a defense turret that will help allies by giving them temporary hit points while in battle. The artillerist will also be able to infuse magical energy into sidearms, which could mean either firearms if you play with firearms in your campaign, or into wands if you don't play with firearms in your campaign. 2 quick side notes. Number 1, if you like what you're seeing so far, hit the thumbs up button. Number 2, Jeremy Crawford, the lead rules designer for Dungeons & Dragons, has publicly said that even though the firearms aren't used widely throughout Dungeons & Dragons, so your game may not include firearms, if it does, anywhere a weapon is mentioned or weapons effects are mentioned within the Artificer class, that also includes firearms for any sort of bonuses or magicalness imbued upon the firearms. So again, I'll say the Artificer is just currently playtest material. It's not an official release from Dungeons & Dragons. If you want to play one, check with your DM first before you go ahead and roll up a character. But if you do, Wizards of the Coast is going to be looking for feedback so they can help refine the class so it can probably later be used as in some sort of official D&D release material. If you would like to provide feedback to help out with that, there will be a link appearing on their website sometime in the near future to a survey that you can fill out so they can figure out what works and what doesn't with the Artificer class. there you have it. If you yourself have or intend to try out the Artificer class, leave some comments below about your thoughts or impressions about it. And if you like what you saw here today, please hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to stay up to date with our content as it's released, please hit the bell notification. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.